mates. Welcome to yet another Monday. Hope you made the best of the weekend. It is December the 5th. Welcome to FOXSOUL's Black Report. We have plenty to discuss today. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. We're honored to stand behind this desk each day to take you on a journey across Black America and the stories that impact our people.
Absolutely. We bring you our news, our views, and our voice. So topping today's headlines, we go to Houston, where police have a man in custody for the murder of rapper Takeoff. 33-year-old Patrick Clark is now charged with the murder, whose real name is Kirksnick Ball. He was killed outside a private party at a downtown bowling alley on November 1st, you may remember. Police say he was an innocent bystander, and officials also say that the family can begin to now have some closure now that this gunman is in custody.
This is a significant step towards seeking justice, and I hope it also brings additional comfort to all of those who love Takeoff.
Indeed, Takeoff was part of the Grammy Award nominated rap trio Migos with his uncle Quavo and cousin Offset. The suspect, Patrick Clark, is expected to appear in court this week.
A 10-year-old boy will be charged as an adult in the murder of his 44-year-old mother, all due to a video game. The boy faces a first-degree murder charge and up to 60 years in prison if convicted in the fatal shooting. Reports say he was mad his mother wouldn't buy him a video game headset from Amazon. Police said that the boy initially told investigators he had been playing with the gun and it, quote-unquote, accidentally went off. After the shooting, the boy woke his sister, who found their mother dead and called 911. The boy, whose family members said has mental health issues, is being held in juvenile detention.
Now to a story that we hope you remember. A murder trial is finally underway nearly 3 years in the case of Atatiana Jefferson, the woman who was shot and killed by police while babysitting her nephew. However, there's outrage that has been sparked due to the recent jury selection. A panel of 12 jurors and 2 alternates are now seated for the murder trial of former Fort Worth police officer Aaron Dean in the 2019 killing of Jefferson. There are 8 men and 6 women. The majority are Caucasian, none are African American. Now, court reports show that initially 200 people showed up for jury selection out of the final 12. 2 appear to be of Indian descent, 1 appears to be Asian, and 1 is Latino. And this is, it adds insult to injury. Really don't understand, how they go about selecting this jury with no representation. There were over 200, from what I'm gathering, folks who showed up to be a part of this process. And out of those folks, none of them are African American.
And how can we call this a jury of our peers?
That's right. 200
people in the pool, 12 jurors selected, 2 alternates selected. None of them are African American. And that's not by accident.
Yeah.
That's not by accident. And so, when people out there are organizing and calling for criminal justice reform,
right,
part of what justice looks like is reforming the way that, prosecutors are able to pick and choose how they populate a jury. And the fact that the prosecutors didn't think that having African Americans on the jury would be an important factor in determining this case fairly.
Yeah. And adding,
it's
like
infuriating.
I said, it is, and adding insult to injury, if I can remember correctly, both of her parents, there's just the stress of this entire case, wiped out her parents' heart attacks, I do believe. I know the mother has passed on and the father has passed on since her murder, and it has just taken, time for her family to, if you can even offer up recovery, and then to add this situation to it. It's just it's mind-boggling, and it's hurtful. It's very, very hurtful.
We'll continue to keep our eye on it.
We absolutely will. All right, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued her first Supreme Court opinion this week. In a brief dissent, she agreed with the court's refusal to hear a case about an Ohio man facing the death penalty. DeVale Chin was sentenced for the 1989 shooting death of a man during an attempted robbery. Chin argued prosecutors suppressed evidence about a key witness that would have helped his case, violating the rule for prosecutors from the 1963 case Brady versus Maryland. The lower court ruled against Chin. Now, Justice Jackson said because Chin's life is on the line, she would have reversed the lower court decision.
The Congressional Black Caucus is announcing its new leadership. U.S. Congressman Stephen Horsford was elected as the 28th chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. He serves Nevada's 4th congressional district and will be sworn in as chair in January when the new session of Congress begins. New York Democratic Representative Yvette Clarke was elected first vice chair. Congratulations.
Indeed. There could be a new face in charge of Michigan's Republican Party, and she's a sister, but many are concerned about her ideas when it comes to taking office as Michigan's party chair. Kristina Karamo is throwing her hat in the ring. The community college professor lost her race for Secretary of State after mounting a campaign filled with election conspiracies. In a statement, Karamo says the state Republican Party has begun operating as, quote, mini gangs instead of soldiers fighting for freedom.
Over 1.85 million Georgians have voted early for the state Senate runoff election between Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock and GOP candidate Herschel Walker. That number crushing previous early voting records, with white voters and Democrats making up the majority of early voters. Now, currently, polls show that Warnock is leading Walker, with a large turnout expected for the big day.
See if I'm in the right place. Is this the home of the SEC champions? Go Dogs!
Democratic Senate candidate Raphael Warnock was on Herschel Walker's old turf, the University of Georgia's campus, telling students that on Capitol Hill, his opponent is not fit to play.
Great running back, an amazing football player. But we're on a different field tonight.
While Warnock campaigned with fellow Senator John Ossoff, Senator Tim Scott and John Kennedy joined Herschel Walker on the trail in Loganville. Walker accused Reverend Warnock of not practicing what he preaches.
He was this preacher that I call a false prophet. He was this preacher that I call a wolf in sheep's clothing, because what he tried to do to me, but he couldn't do it to me. Whenever he get in trouble, he tried to throw those Bible verses on me.
This race receiving national attention. While Democrats have secured control in the Senate, a Warnock win would solidify their majority in committees, while a Walker win would weaken the grip on the upper chamber. We'll be sure to bring you the very, very, very latest results from Georgia right here on FOXSOUL's Black Report. This race has been
the talk of the town, the talk of the nation.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you couldn't have you couldn't have enough contrast between two very different candidates. Herschel Walker sort of representing the sort of phenomenon of sort of celebrity type folks running for office, particularly on the Republican side of the aisle, folks that may not have a whole lot of experience to offer, you know, but have a way of capturing the attention, capturing the headlines. And then you have Raphael Warnock, who is the incumbent, who is running for his first full term in the United States Senate. If he wins, he would be the first Black person from Georgia to serve a full Senate term in the United States Senate.
And this is no mystery for him. He's had to do it again. This is his second runoff. I was in Georgia covering the first race, and it was just as close as this one is. Both candidates the past few weeks pulling out all the stops with major endorsements and some interesting bantering back and forth. I'm pleased to see all of the early voting results that have come in thus far. Yet the race remains pretty close, and it's going to be another nail biter. We were talking earlier during the midterms that a lot of these races were like a popcorn moment. Get your popcorn and your refreshments ready. I think this is going to come down to the wire, and it's going to serve as such in this situation as well. It's going to be very interesting.
And the stakes could not be higher.
I know.
And so we'll continue to keep our eye on that. Remember, tomorrow, December 6th, is Election Day in Georgia.
That's
and so make sure you make your voice heard. Now on to a 24-year-old white Mississippi man who is pleading guilty to a hate crime in federal courts for burning a cross in his front yard. to intimidate a black family simply because of their race and proximity to his home. Court documents reveal that Axel C. Cox put together a wooden cross in his front yard and propped it up so his black neighbors could see it. Federal prosecutors told NPR that when Cox burned the cross to threaten and intimidate his black neighbors, he violated the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Cox will be sentenced on March 9th, 2023. He faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison, a fine up to $250,000, or both.
Okay, to Madrid now, where prosecutors will not press charges over racist chanting aimed at soccer player Vinicius Jr. before the Madrid derby after finding that they, quote, lasted a few seconds and did not constitute a crime. Now, a group of Madrid fans were filmed singing Vinicius, You're a Monkey outside of the Metropolitan Stadium ahead of the match on September 18th. Now, a complaint was subsequently filed by the anti-racist pressure group, the Movement Against Intolerance, while the chanting was also reported to the Spanish Football Federation's Competition Committee and Spain's Anti-Violence Commission. Now, Vinny posted a response to the ruling on Twitter reading, quote, all good, but we will continue in the fight. I will not stop. Madrid, there is only one. And that's the end of his quote.
In Atlanta, the U.S. Department of Education is launching an investigation to find out if students at an elementary school are being assigned specific classrooms because they are black. According to reports, a parent alleges that the principal of Mary Lynn Elementary School designated 2 second-grade classes for black students without the consent of their families, while white students were able to be placed among all 6 of the second-grade classrooms. The school district has since released a statement saying, in part, Atlanta Public Schools have received notice that a complaint was filed and the district is cooperating. Given that this matter is pending before a federal administrative agency for consideration, Atlanta Public Schools have no further comment.
You know, Nicola, when I read this, I was like, okay, so you picked the blackest city in America to, allegedly practice this sort of kind of thing. I thought it was very bold, and I'm hoping that this runs its course. And if there is to blame, if the findings are true, that folks are properly dealt with. It's interesting. There are folks that follow the work of the Supreme Court very closely, and there are predictions that the 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, the conservative majority on the Supreme Court, wants to do away with the historic Brown versus Board of Education ruling. And so I wonder if part of what we're seeing here right now is a preview of what we might see more of if that historic decision were to be overturned. I agree. All righty. Still ahead, a new study shows what reparations could do for our health.
Plus, it's a type of dance native to blacks in the Midwest. We'll tell you all about the JIT after the break.
Some
You're
lighter
watching
news
Black Soul.
on the way.
You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report.